What's going on, all you premium beaters? It's your boy, Zach here. Today, we're gonna be talking about utilizing audio waveforms to edit your sound. So everything from music to dialogue. So without further ado, there's a lot to cover, so let's get right into it. Okay, so the cool thing about doing these audio tricks is the fact that you feel like you're in the Matrix. Basically, you're reading all of your waveforms like they're code. So if you've ever wanted to feel like you're in the Matrix, this is the tutorial for you. So let's get into my first tip. We're gonna go through like 6 or 7 of them. So get ready, get your pen and paper, and let's get cracking. So open up your project, make sure it has like dialogue track because the first couple tips are gonna be just with dialogue. So my first editing dialogue trick that I like to use is, let's say you have a client that wants a part where someone was laughing. Maybe it's even a group scene, you filming an event coverage and people want like that laughter section or clapping. The big thing you're gonna realize is when people laugh or they're more confident in their speech, they're actually going to talk a little bit louder, or if there's a clapping section, you're gonna find little peaking points. So if you're in a crunch and you have to skim through a timeline, if we look at this wide part, if you see this little area here, there's a chunk where the audio waveforms peak. So I'm gonna skim down there, and that's actually the spot where I was clapping. It's a great way to find like excitement and energy through an edit when you're in a crunch or you have a ton of footage. Woo! Yeah! But you're like, Zach, I already knew that. I already knew how to find people's laughter in videos. Well, here's the second tip that I use all the time. This one I like to call eliminating dead zones. So essentially, if you're shooting like an interview video, there's gonna be spots where the person is not talking. That's just like what happens. No, I mean, of course, when you're editing, you don't want that. You don't want dead zones, no areas of audio. You want the dialogue to keep rolling. So if I'm under the gun, I'm trying to get my edit done fast, I can actually skim through my timeline really fast by knowing the areas where nobody was speaking. So if we look at my waveforms here, there's peaks and mountains here, but then there's nothing. So those areas where there's nothing, chances are nobody is saying anything, so I can just skip through that. So let's play it. And I can just trim right through that. And if I'm editing like a dialogue scene, I can just watch it. I know, okay, there's no dialogue here. Trim this part, ripple, delete, boom. You are now trimming your audio way faster because you're not listening through just nothingness for 10 minutes. Sometimes the camera could just keep rolling and the person won't be talking and you're just kind of sitting there. So to save yourself some time while you're editing and save your sanity, if you remember on the day that the guy doesn't speak really soft, you can probably just skim through that whole area where there is no peaks or dips in your audio waveforms. Okay, the third one I'm gonna talk about, this is getting into that matrix stuff, is being able to register certain words through waveforms. Now the ones I'm gonna talk about specifically is us. Us is a big one, and as an editor, one of the biggest things that you'll probably get asked to do is actually eliminate us through your dialogue. Because you obviously don't want somebody in a video when they're speaking really confidently to say a bunch of times. So the big thing that you realize with the word is that in a waveform, it's just almost like a flat line a bit. An easy way to trim it is you find the spot where the flat line starts and where it ends, then you can just eliminate that and then put a bit of like a crossfade on that, and boom, you have now eliminated us. It's a really good way to do it fast if you're under a crunch. There was a couple things that I used while going through the website. Now, I wouldn't say just do it and then not listen to your audio afterwards, because you'll probably have to make some minor adjustments, and that's with all of these tips. I'm not saying just look off of waveforms, because you're kind of stupid if you don't like listen to your audio afterwards. Like that's just like cooking food and like just reading a manual and then not tasting it afterwards. Why would you cook the food in the first place? Okay, my fourth or fifth, I don't know, am I fourth? Okay, so now we're going to transition a little bit over to synchronization. So let's say you're shooting a video and you want to synchronize 2 tracks, or you want to synchronize your lav track with your boom track, but you had your audio editing software for some reason isn't syncing it. So how do you do it manually? Well, now that you've become an audio ninja, and I love laughing because I'm a person that laughs, you're able to read waveforms really well, the best way to do it is actually find those key registering points. So maybe it's those laughter marks, those claps, and find those key peaking points and then try and synchronize it to that, because laughter or claps like that are the highest point in your waveforms. And so if you think about it, it's like looking at like a landscape, and the highest point is probably the easiest one to see because it's not blocked by everything else. So find that that highest peak in all of your little waveform mountains, slide it over there, and then find that in your other track, and then line up those peaking points. Now, to make sure it's like dead exact, you can actually zoom in on your audio waveforms and try and find patterns and find the things that like sync up. So maybe it's not peaks, maybe it's like those really long flat lines, and then synchronize those parts. And it's a really great way to start synchronizing your audio if your audio syncing software isn't working, or possibly you don't have any. And just because we're talking about synchronization, I'm gonna give you guys a really good quick tip that has saved my skin so many times when editing audio where the camera wasn't rolling audio, because sometimes that happens. Sometimes your camera, some higher end cameras don't roll audio. Certain, maybe the lavs weren't plugged in, but you have another track to work off of. What you can do to synchronize your audio is by using the visuals in the video. So what I'll do is I'll find key parts in the video where the person speaking says something that has a lot of emphasis on a word. So for instance, the word poopy head. I hate when people are poopy heads. The word poopy head has a loud puh in it, right? So you hear that puh, so then I'll find that part in the audio, and then it's actually like visually, when someone says puh, puzz, muzz, buzz, are really like easy to register in visual. So you find that sort of visual cue and then line up those things and it'll synchronize. Now this is a bit more of a time-consuming process, but if you have no audio to reference off of, this is actually probably one of the only ways you can synchronize your audio edit with your visual edit. I hate when people are poopy heads. Okay, and now moving on to the music section, just a couple quick tips going through that music, using waveforms. I know there is like so much information. I know your probably pieces of paper are like loaded, you're like sticking tape and it's folding down, and there's so many notes going on. Have no fear, I have a blog post in the description below that has all of these tips listed, so you didn't actually have to write it all down. Just telling you now, after you wrote it all down. The final ones is editing your music. So one of the things is, let's say you're trying to edit to a beat of a song. There's like a cool club dance beat that you wanna have like a quick editing, like a so you're like, I wanna edit on every single one of those beats. What you're gonna do is look through the waveform and find all those high points where the bass was hitting in. And you can find the patterns. You listen to it, like, I like the part where it goes zzz. And then you look at what that looks like, and if you see it repeats itself over and over and over again. So you now know, without even listening to the song, you can make cut points to that and then put your visual to it. It's like, it's insane, right? It's like pure magic. And then similar with like dialogue tracks where there's like dead zones, it's the same with music. So let's say you want that crazy club beat and you want it throughout the whole thing. If you look at your audio tracks, right here it dips right down. So I know automatically that it's just going to sound a lot more soft, and it's not gonna be what I want, because I want a crazy club thing the whole way through. So what I'll do is I'll actually just find it, trim out that whole moment, clip those things together, put a little bit of a crossfade, and then I've just eliminated the soft spot without even having to listen to it. Again, I recommend listening to your music, but if you're like crazy, let's say it's really busy and you've got 10 seconds to do the edit, that'll just get you through it really fast. Okay, and that is it, all you crazy folk. Hopefully you liked this video. These are all tips that I use basically almost every single day when I'm editing. If you guys have any additional ideas of how you utilize the waveform matrix, I'd love to read that in the comment section below. These are very, very useful tips that you can use across the board. Again, I highly, 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 highly recommend you listen to your audio before you just trim it out. But if you are in, like, some dude's like, okay, you gotta get this edit done in 2 seconds, you'll probably, if the guy has a gun to your head, it's probably not gonna go well. But this is a good way to get through it super quick. And if you guys like what I'm talking about, like all this stuff that PremiumBeat is presenting, give us a subscribe, take a look at the blog post below, check out the website, download some music, play around with this fun stuff, and like this video. It means a lot to me. It means a lot to me and the PremiumBeat family. So share this with all your friends who want to learn more about audio waveforms. If you guys want to see my crazy face a little bit more, you can follow me on the Instagrams. Send me a message regarding this video. I will happily answer it. And that is it. So thanks again for watching. I'll see you guys next time, and just keep making some great stuff. I'll see you guys next time.